I am a firm believer in the idea that limitations can breed creativity. Regarding Minecraft, I see many people claiming that the game is getting boring or stale, and I'm guilty of that myself. In fact, in my original progression video, it's one of the first things I said about Minecraft, that the game is kind of boring sometimes. Jesus Christ, I gotta stop referencing that video. Regardless, I do think such criticism can be useful if formed properly. If it can be backed up by logic or supported by evidence, there's likely some merit to it. To be fair, I think a game like Minecraft almost necessitates that the player creates their own forms of entertainment. It gives you a basic foundation and encourages you to build from there, no pun intended. As a player, you are given multiple options with which you can fine-tune your experience just how you like it. Though it has taken me multiple videos to come to this conclusion, I now feel that how bored a player feels in Minecraft is more of a reflection of that individual's state of mind than anything else. More often than not, the player who is bored with Minecraft is a player who has played the game much longer than anyone reasonably should play any game. I think it's a bit much to claim that Minecraft is boring, unless you're someone who is completely new to the game or just doesn't care for the concept of making your own experience. You just might not be intrinsically motivated, and that's okay. You might remember that I just said I was guilty of making this argument about half a year ago. Holy shit, it's been over half a year. Oh my god. To avoid retreading old ground, I digress. This video is about more than just Minecraft. It's a video about creativity, artistic drive, and a look into how I've inspired myself to do things differently. It's a topic that I think should be covered more. I struggle a lot with inspiration and driving myself forward. It's incredibly difficult to write long-form videos that are both entertaining and something to be proud of. Doubly so when you can look back on your previous works and critique them to no end. And I have, trust me, I have done just that. Not to flex my incredible level of introspection, but nobody can critique my work quite as hard as I can. Though I may see a hate comment here or there is no greater limitation to my own creativity than my mind, and sometimes I give unfair criticisms to myself. I know I may just be rambling at this point, and I apologize if that's not exactly what you're here for, but I imagine that many people can relate to this issue. If not, allow me to explain it in a way that I think you might resonate with if you're my average viewer. Let's say you've just created another Minecraft world, and this time it's going to be the one. Yes, I'm using a Minecraft metaphor, fuck you, it's my channel. This will be that world that you work on for years. What starts as a humble base and a little bit of exploring can become anything that you dream of, whether it be the creation of a little village or massive redstone farms or becoming a traveling nomad exploring the world and visiting lands that some would only dream of. You can do any of it. You start your world, it feels optimistic, like things are really going your way. You survive the first couple of nights, perhaps find iron or work on your first little base, and we all know how this goes. Maybe you'll settle down for a little bit in your village, but as you play, you begin to feel that dread. That feeling looms over you, and soon enough that feeling becomes agonizing, taking center stage in your mind. Boredom. The excitement that once inspired such big plans to make some massive structure or some beautiful contraption has just been wiped. The looming feeling of discontent ever-growing has set in. This will take tons of time, tons of work. You may make mistakes, and there's just so much to do and so much to be done. The ideas that once excited you now fill you with dread. You're faced with that anxiety of choice. Worst of all, by being unable to make a choice, you're nonetheless making a choice. Making no choice at all is a choice. Choosing to quit that world and not return to it for weeks, only to delete it after realizing you forgot to keep up, is a choice. And it's one that many of you and myself know all too well. And if you're truly unfortunate, this will affect you in your daily life. Faced with a seemingly insurmountable amount of problems and choices, life quickly becomes a stressful mess. Nowhere in my life have I felt such pressure and stress more than a creative project. I write music from time to time, and I almost always struggle. When I open Ableton Live, I am instantly confronted with a menagerie of buttons, knobs, and different sounds to entice my eclectic mind. However, with all these inspirations and all these things to draw from, I sometimes can't create. It seems as though the more I am inspired, the more I feel pressure to not waste said inspiration. It's kind of a vicious cycle. Let's say you want to make a castle in Minecraft, but you're just not sure what type of stone to start with. Do I do normal stone bricks, perhaps deep slate, a mixture of both, black stone? Should the castle be in pristine condition, thriving with villagers, or left to rot and hostile mobs taken over? This can all be very overwhelming. Even in that decision though, you've chosen to limit yourself. You've made the decision to make a castle. That knocks out about 99.9% of buildings that you could have made. So the real choice is choosing, and choosing can be the most stressful choice of all. That's why, when faced with an ultimatum, many people try to create nuance and compromise, or simply refuse to choose. Little sidebar here, I understand this is not really the case for everybody, but I feel as though it's common enough and certainly distressing enough that it's important to talk about. If you've never been overwhelmed by the possibility that comes with creativity, I envy you. Leonardo da Vinci is quoted as saying, "Art lives from constraints and dies from freedom." And I think this is a beautiful quote that perfectly encapsulates what it's like to do anything creative. And if you've watched my content before, you might know that I am of the belief that almost anything a person does can constitute art. Any form of self-expression is art, in my opinion. Anything from making burgers, if you're passionate about it, to creating video games. It's all art. Even the clothes you wear and the way you style your hair is a form of self-expression, unless you're bald. Sorry, Dad. Back to Da Vinci for a moment. I think this quote is very emblematic of the artist's mind, of which I think we all have to some extent. I don't think there's a single one of you who doesn't have an artistic mind, especially under my definition of art. But saying that limitation is sort of the birth of art is one thing. To actually apply that is a totally different beast. So let's get back to the point, shall we? Without further ado, this, my friends, is how I learned to love Minecraft again, through limitation. So, something I have never attempted before is super flat survival. The concept is pretty simple. Take a super flat world with its extremely limited resources and geography, and create something from it. In creative mode, I find super flats to be like super jarring and daunting because there's just so much for me to do. But in survival mode, they're extremely constricting. I don't really care for normal vanilla worlds in creative either because the world has already really been made, and part of the fun of adding to that world is taking the time to do it yourself in survival. At least for me, it could be different for others. Anyway, Minecraft has several presets for super flat worlds. There are some that mimic the overworld with grass and trees and stone to dig into, others are just void or sandstone for some reason. The classic super flat is a single grass block with 2 layers of dirt and then bedrock. This is the preset I decided to go with, the world type that I would finally sink my teeth into again. Pretty quickly, I began to think about the survival process in a completely different way. Typically, I get basic things like iron from caves below my feet, but here, there are none. I am forced to take scraps from a blacksmith or risk death by slaughtering iron golems for just a couple of ingots. This significantly slowed down my progress, which I loved. Even building a house took me a long time. Hell, just today I finally switched my ceiling from dirt to wood. Actually, that might be due to laziness, but I still haven't finished my roof, but I might finish it by the time you're watching it, so we'll see. One mechanic that I would almost always overlook in a normal world is wandering traders, but here in the super flat, they are essential to my progression. My first wandering trader gave me both dripstone blocks and dripstone spikes. This meant I have access to infinite lava via cauldrons, and thus the nether was accessible. My second wandering trader was a little less exciting, except for the fact that it gave me both kelp and dark oak saplings. Now I can finally make water elevators and have a new wood type for my roof. Anyway, once the nether was open, all hell broke loose, and I think I died in a bastion about 5 times, and lost all my loot tunneling through a wall. Lava is a bitch. Without easy access to iron, I seriously struggled to get any sort of armor. Such a limitation forced me to get iron in a way that I normally would detest in any given playthrough, via an iron farm. Iron farms work in such a way that abuses the iron golem spawn mechanic, and I dislike this in a normal playthrough because of that. I don't like that things like iron farms come from seemingly unrelated mechanics like villager fear and iron golem spawning. It just doesn't feel intentional. But it is kind of fun to make nonetheless. Contrary to what you might think after watching my progression videos, I don't actually think trapping and enslaving villagers is bad in of itself. My issue is more so Mojang's blatant moral hypocrisy, but that's for another story. Typically, I'd say iron farms take away from one of the core parts of Minecraft, that being the mining, and to be fair, I see how a redstone enjoyer may want to get iron quickly. In a super flat world though, an iron farm is a necessity. The rate at which I would otherwise obtain iron is far too slow to get anything done in a reasonable time. So I had to Google iron golem spawning mechanics and then got confused and just watched a video from Waddles. So, yay! After making the iron farm, the mob grinder, and the villager breeding station, progress moved much faster. Another mechanic that I normally detest but was necessary for this world is getting mending from villagers. I would say I'm a fan of Mojang's recent experimental villager changes. I think they balance librarian villagers in a fun way that encourages exploration, even if it is a bit tedious. In a super flat though, I simply wouldn't have access to mending books with those features turned on, so they stayed off. For reference, I usually turn them on when I play a vanilla world because I think they're better than the old system. Speaking of villagers, they're the only way I have diamond gear. I have full diamond armor and tools. The only diamonds I have found came naturally from a nether fortress. So if I went netherite, I'm gonna have to loot a lot of fortresses for diamonds or a lot of bastions for upgrade templates. Either way, I don't particularly look forward to doing that. I'm about ready to get started on my first massive project, a huge floating island in the sky where I can set up my base. This island will not be hollow, it will be filled. My home on top will be a spectacle to be seen for miles. I imagine it would look really, really cool with distant horizons on, but I guess it would be totally flat. So hey, you know what? I would never lose my way home. I'm very excited to begin working on it, and trust me, I'll update you guys as it goes on. You could join my Discord if you maybe want to see pictures of that. I don't know. I might post them. I might not. Whatever. I wanted to use this world as a way to showcase how the limitations of a super flat world have led a sort of personal renaissance with Minecraft Survival Mode for me. I had to limit the world in such a way that forced me to follow alternative forms of progression to get things done. For example, I heavily relied on villager trades to get almost literally everything done. I had to actively seek out villagers I wanted and find the best ways to get emeralds. This could have been done in a normal world, sure, but in such a world, it would be an option, not something necessary for my progression. I wanted to work on these villagers as fast as possible because I knew that wandering traders would spawn and I knew that they would have some pretty interesting items for me. That's not how I normally think about the game. I typically just worry about mining and running off into the wilderness. And if I see a wandering trader that happens to have a couple good things for me, so be it, cool. But here, as stated, I needed these villagers to progress. I needed their trades to keep me going. If you are struggling to dive into single player Minecraft, I suggest you try your hand at a super flat world. The presets are really fun and interesting. If you ever want to have a little bit of an easier time, try the overworld preset. If you want to have a greater challenge, I suggest you try the Tunneler's Dream preset. Sure, you have all that stone to dig through, but food is extremely limited and snow is really easy to get lost in. You could also try Bottomless Pit or Desert for some alternative challenges. I also found that Snowy Kingdom is more or less the same as a normal super flat, but with more stone, different villages, and igloos here and there. I started a Snowy Kingdom super flat for the footage of this video, and I was literally melting the ice in an igloo to get fish so that I wouldn't starve before I found a village. Pro tip, always use a bonus chest when doing these super flats. Trust me, you'll need it. I'd love to see what you guys create in your own super flat worlds. Word of advice, try not to look up tutorials on how to build all of the stuff that you need, like farms and etc. The only one I needed to look up was the iron farm. The mob grinder and breeder were just done for my organic knowledge of the game's mechanics. Try to use your brain to figure out these issues that you face. You could use the wiki to refresh your knowledge on villager breeding mechanics, but from there, try to figure out a design that works for you. If anyone has a more reliable way of finding diamonds in a super flat, please fucking tell me. I am struggling. I just want netherite. But this all ties me back to the beginning of the video. That struggle to create, that looming threat, choice. By limiting it, I found a way to create something that I've never really created before. It forced me out of my comfort zone and into a world that I didn't fully understand how to navigate. Come to think of it, this works for almost any hobby I do. When making music, I find that limiting myself to a certain set of instruments or forcing myself to write a melody based on the first chords that come to mind, regardless of what key it is, can be really fun. Even when making videos, limiting myself to certain pieces of music or footage can be really creatively rewarding. For example, when I made that video about the beta versions of Minecraft and a couple of mods, I used only music from C418's Alpha album. With that original progression video back in December, I modeled it to be a sort of Hbomberguy-esque video essay just about Minecraft. It's in the editing, it's in the title, it's in the premise, all of it. If you've ever watched his videos about games, you'll instantly see what I mean. At the end of the day, I encourage you to try something creative and limit yourself when you're doing it. Struggling to come up with limitation? These are a couple ones that you can apply to almost anything. Set a time limit for whatever project you're doing. You could also narrow in on one specific thing in a project and hyper focus on it. You could try doing half the project and passing it off to a friend and seeing how they finish it. Imagine painting half of a landscape and then just handing it off to another artist to fill in their own way. That would likely generate a cool and really unique piece of art. Even if the artists have similar styles, it would be really cool to see the subtle differences in their painting and color choices. Hell, I would do it if I was into painting. I've done it with drawing with my girlfriend, and it's a great fun way to bond. If you do choose to make a super flat world or do something creative, feel free to join my Discord and share it with my little community. We have a personal art channel. I love seeing stuff there. It's super cool. People are really, really creative. And if you have some social media where you make your own art, we have a show posting channel where you can post all that stuff too. No shame at all. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching this video. The gathering footage portion of it was honestly really refreshing. I don't normally care for the gathering of footage in my videos, but this time it's been fun because of the limitations I set for myself. But you already knew that. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing or becoming a member. Oh, also check out the second channel where I upload live stream compilations and other content. Anyway, that's all for today, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye bye!